Good day, everybody. This is John Scarborough. I wanted to have a little discussion today about one of the biggest problems that I see with homesteaders and small farmers, people that start up on that. The biggest struggles and problems that I see that people come up and do. And while I talk about that, I'd like to kind of just showcase and walk around this little forge that I built a while back ago. It's a little wood burning forge. But I figure this would be a better thing to kind of show y'all some of this rather than showing y'all my ugly face. No, but seriously though, a lot of problems that I see, people will build these little homesteads or these little farms, and they'll kind of get into it because they enjoy the lifestyle. Now, some people do it, a lot of people do it, obviously, as a homestead to make something more self-sustainable, to become more self-sustainable. And one of the things that I see with that is they'll get out and they'll really start working on it, but they're enjoying it because it's a new process to them, and they're really enjoying that new process. And as they go with it, they'll get farther and farther into it and everything, and they will eventually. What they do is see, because when you have a homestead. A homestead is a different thing for different people. It means something different. For some people, it's just a couple of acres with a nice house and a shop and the ability to do kind of things they want to do. And they'll have some chickens and ducks and maybe some small animals and stuff. And then for other people, a homestead is 100 acres and a really nice operation. And it just kind of varies, but you'll get going really deep into that, and you'll really start working hard. And a lot of times you will actually start to neglect other parts of your life. And that's something I've done here. We're more on the farming side than we are on the homestead side, but we also have tried to kind of build a decent homestead along with that farm, because we appreciate the ability of taking care of yourself. And so we're somewhat, not completely, but we're somewhat self-sustainable, and that's something that we do strive to try to get better and better at. I think that's a good goal for sure. But with all of that, building our business and our farm and working on our homestead and getting it how we want it, and building our home, we have neglected a lot of the things in our life, other things that you can only neglect for so long. And for me, a lot of people don't know everything about me that's on this channel, and I've got other stuff like on Instagram and things like that. I've got some things that I used to do in the past, but the main thing is you can tend to neglect things that you enjoy. And sometimes one of the biggest things that I see is people will even stop enjoying their own farm. They'll get to where they're not enjoying what it is that they set out to do. And I've made the mistake myself, and I've seen people do this, and I have made the mistake many times. And that's why I'm bringing this up, because people will, especially me. I mean, it's like you'll get so knee deep into work, and you don't just sit back and smell the roses, so to speak. You don't take care of. You don't do the little things that you want to do. For a long time, I was working. This is something that's going to be in an upcoming video, guys. So anybody that's watching this is getting to see a little sneak peek of that. But I got to where I wasn't enjoying the process, and I got to where I wasn't even sitting out and enjoying a cup of coffee and watching the sunrise and things like that. And that's something that I really enjoyed doing. That was one of the bigger reasons why I did that, because back when I was running the roads and I was welding a lot, I never got to do that. I was up at 4:30 and I'd get out and I'd get going and I'd run and I never got to, I'd see the sunset driving. And that was okay. It wasn't bad. I enjoyed it while I was doing it. But that was something else that I didn't get to enjoy or do much of. And that's kind of why I built the trailer rig and started farming and got into what I'm doing now, and built a shop too, is because I can still weld and still do my trade, but I'm farming here, and I'm homesteading, at least, even if I can't make it good on the farm, I can still work out of this shop and do things and make a living, and it's working out pretty good, But I'm trying to remember, and I'm trying to retrain myself that I started doing all this so I could spend time with my wife. If we have children, I can spend time with my children. And I did this so that I can start working on, have time to work on little hobbies and projects. Like I said, I've got an Instagram. I've done fire pits. Y'all go check out some of that if you ever get interested. I've done fire pits. I got an Instagram for that. I've also got an Instagram for leather work. You can just look up John Scarborough. I used to do a lot of leather work. It's something I want to do again. I was pretty decent at it. I wasn't the best. I've never claimed to be the best at anything. I've never been a master at anything, but I was pretty good at it. And the main thing is, this is something I enjoyed doing. This right here is something else that I neglected a lot. I put the gym together over here. I used to have it in my other shop and used to exercise pretty good bit. And I exercise still occasionally, But I've gotten to where I was so hard on building, and I'm not preaching to anybody. I'm not telling anybody to work out or eat a certain way. It's not for everybody, and I get that. I'm just saying something that you like to do. It's easy when you start to homestead or farm or come out here or even build a business to neglect a lot of these things. Now, to some degree, you have to a little bit for a short time, but just don't forget about it. Give yourself some time eventually and get back into what is you. Remember who you are. And in other words, all I'm really trying to say is don't get so fixated on building the life that you're trying to build that you never, you forget the parts that you did like about your old self. I broke my neck when I was 19 and I've had several injuries. I injured my back at 16 real bad and had several bad injuries along the way. And a lot, some of it's my fault, some of it's circumstance, it is what it is. But I've had those injuries, and I find that taking care of my body and eating right and exercising is something that really helps me a lot. So that's something I'm trying to get back into. I'm trying to get to where I'm not neglecting my exercise as much. And I'm trying to remember that part of the reason I built the shop was partially for my own pleasure. I haven't pulled out that forge since I moved here. I haven't used it. And I've got another forge. I've got a propane forge too. I like pretty good, but I kind of like using different stuff. And so it's something that I have neglected, these types of things. And I still can't do the leather work because I haven't got a place set up yet for that. But I've neglected lots of little things that I enjoy doing, One thing that I've always really loved doing is making knives, And I've got some knives over here. I'm not like real good at it, but I kind of like playing around. That's a little finger knife I made, I got to where, of course, they're all mild steel and they're old, so they kind of got a little rust on them here and there. But I got to where I wasn't doing anything like this anymore. I wasn't playing. I wasn't enjoying myself. And my wife has claimed that she's been kind of doing the same thing. We've been so hard at it, working so hard that we kind of forgot some of the other things that we enjoy doing. This is something that I really have always enjoyed doing, is making stuff, raw material. This is, I used brass on that pin right there. The light shining on it pretty bad. You can't see it quite so well, but sometimes I like, I use copper. Sometimes I like copper instead of brass. You can't pick it up on here. You can't tell the difference, but it just kind of brings a different tinge to it. But anyway, that's something that, I enjoy doing is making little stuff like this. And the main thing is it's not necessarily that it has to be leather work, or it has to be making knives, or it has to be anything like that. It's really just, I enjoy making stuff, and I've always kind of liked just natural raw materials, so just steel and wood and metal of all sorts, and bone, and using different things like that. But the point is that those are things that I have enjoyed doing in the past. And some of those things help me, like the exercise and the eating right. And some of them are things that bring me just pleasure, That's all it is just pure pleasure. And like this one right here, I just made this one. Light shining on it pretty good. But I kind of forgot about, and I actually just made a pocket knife too, and I don't have that here. It's the first pocket knife I ever made. I kind of forgot just how much I enjoy. I'll try to get that in better frame. The light ain't just shining on it. It's kind of messing up that. If you look at that, I got something else showing it. Y'all can look at the other pictures, but the lighting in here is really poor actually. But I have enjoyed doing these things for years. I think I was a young teenager when I first started to make stuff, make knives, and I had somebody ask me, well, what do you like? What do you like doing? It was an older guy, and I told him I don't really know. I don't know if I like welding. I don't know what I like, but all I do know is that I really like to build stuff, build brand new things. And I've got a nephew now. He was talking about how he likes to take things that other people have built that are broken and fix them. And it's like he is just as passionate about that as I have been about building things that are brand new. And so it's just nice to see those kinds of passions, and a lot of people say, oh, well, do your passion, do what you love for a living. And that you can't always do that either. And I'll tell you, I tried to do that with leatherworking, and I didn't really enjoy that either. I like being able to make knives and make leatherwork because I'm not under pressure. As soon as I get the pressure on and I'm having to do it for other people, I get to where I don't enjoy it anymore. So I'll make little stuff just for myself or for gifts for other people or something. And sometimes I'll make something and sell it, but I'm not going to try to make a bunch of them in production style. I love farming. That's one thing I like doing as well. So, and I'm able to do that somewhat and make somewhat of a living along with other stuff, and my wife still works and stuff, but I'm able to do those things and make income. So the point that I'm really trying to make is it's okay when you first start a farm or a homestead or really any business, it's okay to neglect all of those things for a short time. And to be honest, if you're starting any business especially, it's actually necessary to neglect those things to some degree. You kind of have to neglect them. You have to neglect them to a certain degree for a time in order to really focus on building what it is that you're building. And I do want you to stay encouraged and to understand that that is necessary and that it's not permanent, okay? But I also want you to be aware after you've done it for a while and you've been working and you've been sticking to it and you're building, to remember to go back out and do other things that you enjoy doing. To remember to start taking care of yourself. To remember to drink a little more coffee out while watching a sunset. Something like that. You know what I mean? Remember to spend a little bit more time with your spouse. For a while, even for a short time when Savannah wasn't working and neither was I, we were both, for a short time we did that. We both just worked on the farm and homestead to kind of get it built up. And even when we were doing that, we never took time to just sit together and watch a sunset. And that's something I wish I would have done. Now, I'm glad that we worked hard and we had to, but the point is that just take a little time here and there. Don't forget to do that and do things that you enjoy. And so that's really the message that I'm trying to share, is to remember that you are going to have to work really, really hard, but you need to remember to play hard too. You need to remember to take a little bit of time and do things that you enjoy doing. And this is something I like doing. And that's another thing about building your homestead or your farm, your home, period, is that you need to remember when you're building that, what it is that you got into this for. Like what is it that really gives you pleasure? And for me, the biggest thing that I find that I do when, like, let's say Savannah's gone on vacation or she's gone for a little while. She's actually getting ready to go to a little conference here in just a little bit. She's going to be going to a women's conference, Women of America, or women farmers or something. I don't remember. But anyway, it's a conference and it's going to be all ladies, and she's going to be gone for a little bit. It's going to be down in South Louisiana, I think. But anyway, she's going to be gone, and so I always think back of, what it is that I enjoy doing when nobody's around, when she's gone. Where do I find myself? Well, usually I find myself out here in the shop, and that's why I built this shop over here. That's why I built it the way I did. I just kind of built it around everything that I can do, like after the work's done, or the really cold day where, you do what you got to do to get everything done. You take care of your animals and everything. But what do you do on the rest of the day when it's just too cold to be outside, or when your wife or your spouse is gone? Where do you find yourself? And this is where I find myself. I find myself out in the shop, piddling, doing things. Sometimes I'm fixing something. Sometimes I'm taking something apart. Sometimes I'm tearing stuff up. But a lot of times I'm, firing up a little forage, or I like to do a little bit of leather work, or make a little knife, and it's just kind of fun. It's where I find myself. It's something a lot of people ask me, well, what do you do for fun? Well, the best way I can describe it is I do this kind of stuff. It's not the only thing I do for fun. I like getting out with friends and stuff, and enjoying that, but this is something that I really like doing. So whatever it is that you like doing, don't forget to go do it.